Hi there, I'm Simon and welcome back to Photo by Kids. So heading into challenge number 9 for Photo by Kids aged between 5 and 15 years old. This challenge is all about light. Now light's an essential part of photography. You need light to take any photograph, of course, to see what's going on. But what we want you to do in this challenge is to think about the light. Think about where the light's coming from. Think about the shadows that the light is casting. What parts of your picture are going to be light? Which parts are going to be dark? Where's the light coming from? These are the things we want you to think about in this picture. Do you have a room that's being flooded by light in a particular point of the day? Do you want to take a portrait of somebody with a really dark shadows on one side? Just think about your subjects and think really long and hard about the light that you're going to use. As ever, we have our trusty photographic expert on hand, and he's going to give you some great tips and tricks for this fantastic challenge number 9. And so without further ado, I'll introduce you to Professor Gardner.
Thanks, Simon. So yeah, today we're focusing on light, the very thing that makes photographers, and what we're going to look at is diving into light in a bit more detail, playing with shadows and how we can use things around us that are creating shade to then benefit what the light is doing, because it's not just about the light itself, it's also about the shadows that it casts. So we're going to look at that. We're going to keep it simple. You can experiment with this in different ways, but what I'm going to do is, because outside people are mowing their lawns, I'm going to do some video recordings of me framing myself up. I'm going to use myself as a subject. So if you haven't seen our video on portraits, go check that one out. But what we're going to do today is we're going to look at how we can use light to create different moods and different scenes around the home and in the garden. So in these clips, what we're doing is we're looking at contrast, which is light and dark. And we're using that to our advantage in the way that we're using shadows to create our story or to create our theme. And this can be used in a bunch of different areas, which is why we're keeping it so simple, so that you can do it at home just using sunlight. If there's a dreary day, you can use a lamp and you can make your own shade. So you can always experiment with different things. Just use objects and hold it up to a light and see what shadows you can get on your subject. It's a great and very easy thing to do. So we'll just talk you through what I did just going around the house and in the garden. So heading over into the bedroom, what I did is I actually found some light hitting on a cupboard, and I went down and I dialed down my exposure so you could only see my eye, and took some pictures which really brought out my eye, just going to show you what light can do and how it can change your scene. And then as I bring it back up, you can see my face. Moving over into the garden, I went down and got into some trees, and I was using the leaves, and it worked out okay, although you could still see a bit too much in the background. So then I moved on to try other things. So I went over to our little trampoline and I saw netting was giving me a good idea, but I wasn't quite happy with the subject, so I just moved on. But if you got a trampoline and you think you can think of something to do there, send us those submissions. We'd love to see what you guys come up with. Then what I did is I actually found an old Christmas tree that we've been growing and sadly had to be trimmed. So what I did is I actually took some of those trimmings and I used it to create a little man, and that's the little shadow that you saw. And then I moved on and I experimented it on my face, but I wasn't a fan. And that's what you can do in a very short amount of time. So do go out, explore the light. Don't look into the sun. Please don't do that. That will hurt your eyes. But anyway, do make sure you submit those photos using the hashtag. And as always, my name's Luke, this is Photo By, and we'll see you next time.